This is a certificate you receive at the end of your Studienkolleg, which allows you to go to university and start your bachelor's in Germany. You get this certificate after the final exam, which is the Feststellungsprüfung, okay, the FSP. Now, there are some things that I would like to talk about related to my experience with this FSP, like my experience with it, its difficulty, or the fact that, for example, some FSPs might restrict your application to a few specific universities. I don't know if you guys know about that, so I'm just going to talk about it later. And I also have some really good news. It has nothing to do with anything I said until now, but now there's a place in a platform where you can connect with other students in the same situation as you. So you basically write who you're looking for, anything you want help with, like looking for a study partner, I don't know, whatever. And then the other students can contact you through your phone number. Okay, so it's very straightforward and it's completely free because I think that basically anyone from this community that we're building here can benefit from this, right? Really, just go there and try to see if there's anyone you like to connect with. And if not, you can create your own request, for example. Uh, I'll leave the link in the description for that. And yeah, go check it out. And now let's go back to my experience with the FSP. So I attended the Studienkolleg of Kaiserslautern. So we had just like one semester of classes during which we prepared only basically for this exam. And they would give us mock exams, past papers, and other materials for us to study for the FSP. Then, after a few months of classes, it was actually very fast. We then took this FSP. That was actually 1 week after the classes finished. And yeah, the first day was just German. We had grammar, listening, writing, and reading. You would only do the speaking parts, which came later. You do this part only if you passed these four parts before. Then the second day was math and informatics. Because I attended T course, third day for me was physics. If I attended V course, for example, it would be economics. Everything that was asked in the exam, basically we prepared for that during the classes. So yeah, there were no surprises. Meaning that if you want to know if you're prepared for the FSP, you could just like solve the exercises during classes, and yeah, that way you would know if you're prepared or not. But yeah, pretty straightforward. And the difficulty level, right? I would say it was like similar to the Aufnahmetest, like the Aufnahmetest for Studienkolleg, except that it included more subjects, right? And of course, different ones than from the Aufnahmetest. But German was harder than the Aufnahmetest. Don't worry because you learn enough German for that during your classes. We got our grades for these exams, and 3 weeks after taking those exams, we had the final speaking part. At the end, like in the same day, we got our grades for this speaking part, and then it was over. It was over, and we were officially on vacation. Then a few weeks later, we had our ceremony where they handed us certificates, recognitions, and I actually have a video on this telling about how the ceremony was exactly. So yeah, if you want to watch it. But yeah, that was basically my experience with the FSP. Okay, the subjects themselves and the kind of questions asked that varies a lot between student colleagues. But yeah, basically that was my experience with the FSP. Now let's go into some technical details of this exam. First thing is that your FSP might include other subjects, okay, different than mine. For example, chemistry, biology, English, whatever, economics. So basically, that depends on the student colleague itself and on the course you chose inside that student colleague. Basically, each student colleague has their own FSP. As you may know, your FSP qualification is related to your student colleague course. And once you get your certificate for T course, for example, you can't study like medicine at university with it. Okay, basically, just to remind you, T course is for math or science, W course is for economics, M course is for medicine, basically. B course is for humanities, and S course is for language courses. Oh, another thing is that you have here the German grading system. So 1 is the best grades, then you have 1.3, 1.7, and 2, 2.3, 2.7, and so on until 4. If you get a 4, you pass, okay? but immediately after that, you get a 5. And well, if you get a 5, you fail the exam. And some student colleagues allow you to repeat the FSP only once or twice, so a limited amount of times. So yeah, that's different for every student colleague, so you gotta check yours. But yeah, be careful with that. Now, one thing people may ask is if their grade on the FSP really matters, right? It depends, okay? Because some courses, for example, in some universities, they have the admissions restricted to the best notes only. That's the case for informatics at FUB in Berlin. So in that case, for example, your FSP grades do matter. If that's not your case, then yeah, it probably won't matter. So as long as you pass the FSP, you're good to go. And now about the FSP recognition. So this is an important topic because maybe you're already targeting some specific university for your bachelor's, right? But well, maybe the FSP you're going to take doesn't allow you to enter that university with that certificate. So what do, right? Well, in that case, you can't do anything. Okay, you just have to go to another university that accepts your certificate. Another thing is the difference between Hochschule and Universität. Usually, Hochschule is more practical, and at a university, you can expect to learn a little bit more about the theory. This distinction is not always true, though, okay? Just so you know. So, now let's see some examples of FSPs that restrict you. For example, Studienkolleg of Kiel. This Studienkolleg only allows you to enter Hochschulen, so not universities. So if you want to go to, say, TUM in Munich, you wouldn't be able to do that with this certificate. Or another example, the Studienkolleg of Constance. This one actually gives access to both universities and Hochschulen as long as you are inside the state of Baden-Württemberg, which is the state of this Studienkolleg. Now, if you want to go to another state, then you have to attend a Hochschule, so not a university. Also, some private student colleagues here actually have some pretty big restrictions, okay? Like some of them only allow you to study at their own university. So you attend their student colleague for 1 or 2 semesters, you take the FSP, and then you have to study at the same university that you had your student colleague. So yeah, take that into consideration, okay? Now it's time for some tips. So during FSP, probably the German exam will be the hardest one, okay? So prepare well for it. I say this because the main goal of the student colleague is to prepare you for the German you're going to use and hear during your studies, right? And just like in the Aufnahmetest, prepared with timed mock exams. So you get a mock exam, you set a timer and solve it because, well, you need to get used to the timing of the FSP, right? And another thing is to speak German the whole time, okay, during your student colleague. This is probably the best advice I can give you if you want to prepare for your FSP. So yeah, trust me. And of course, the teachers probably expect you actually to do that. And yeah, the same as usual. So take it easy before your exam day, okay? Sleep well, eat light, so don't stress about it so much. And yeah, basically, those are the things you need to know about your FSP. More about it, you'll actually get to know during your student colleague. But keep in mind, if you're still choosing the student colleagues you want to apply for, take into consideration those things that I said about FSP recognition. And if you're taking your FSP soon, good luck. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful, and I see you guys in the next one.